Welcome into the studio. This is a video more on image editing to show how I take an image and put in a different background so you can use that and apply that to other reference photos and perhaps make them more dramatic, or just try things out. In the old days, what I used to do, so the old days would be say 25 years ago, I'd take a photo, I'd cut areas out, do little drawings on there, and work out compositions that way, and it was really quite time consuming as well. And then you'd have to do things like color studies and small paintings just to see if things were going to work. Obviously with image editing software we can do that much quicker and also have a more realistic product at the end, so the adjustments to the reference photo, so that you could actually use that to work from, so much more useful. But the main thing when you do things professionally is saving your time, and this really does save time. So what you can see on screen, I'm using Photoshop, but the things I'm going to show are very simple and can be done in virtually any image editor, even the free ones like Pixlr. I'm not going through every little thing as a step by step. I gotta assume that you know a little bit about image editing, and I'm really going to be showing more of why I used various reference photos than the actual editing part itself. But if for instance you're using Pixlr, if you just go onto YouTube, there's literally thousands of super in-depth tutorials on there, so every question you've got is really going to be answerable on YouTube. So this reference photo I got from wildlifereferencephotos.com, a fabulous one of a cougar. What drew me to it was the body shape, the way it's coming around from the tail end, coming down towards the bottom left, and then the cougar's view is looking back into the scene, so it's a lovely rotating kind of composition. I also like the redness of the rocks, really complementary to the color of the cougar as well. I also like the shadow on one side. People who follow my work know I like to see rather than a flat scene, I like to see shadows on one side of the subject. So we got a light side and a dark side. That really adds then to the shape and form of it, makes it look a lot more three-dimensional. The one thing I didn't particularly like was the stark blue background. So what I did in the end, if I show you the one I finished, I've put in that background, I've adjusted some of the colors and the shadows slightly as well, and that would be the reference now that I would then print out. So if I show you again, so that's the difference between the blue. Now some people may really like that blue with a stark blue background like that because the cougar stands out so much. Personally, I wanted to make it more of a dramatic scene and make it feel like it was high up as well. So it's obviously personal preference which way you like, but I'm just showing you the technique to go from that to that. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to do or needed to do is remove this blue background. Now because it's a flat color, that can be done really easily. If it was a complicated background scene, I'd have to remove it by using something like the magnetic lasso type of tool, where you would draw around the edge of it and delete the background. But as I said, because it's a flat background, I could do it quite easily. And all I did was came over, looked at my layers here, double clicked it to make that a layer instead of a background, and what I could then do was select this magic wand tool here. Okay, now because once again it's almost a perfect blue color, I could have the tolerance up here on the top at 100. So the tolerance is kind of going from the blue color, say 100 steps, a different way. If the tolerance needed to be really close, so it would only affect a tiny color, exactly that blue color, I could have the tolerance of say 1. So if I put that at 1, and then if I click the blue with the magic tool, see it's only saying that those pixels there are that exact color. Okay, so if I undo that, if I select it and choose 100 instead, when I click it, you see it said all of those blues all the way around that cougar are within that range. So that works because there's nothing else blue in the scene. So if I then click delete, that chunk of background's gone. Okay, so if I click down here, all that blue is selected, and click delete, that chunk's gone, and do this one, and that chunk is gone. So I deselect that now. So there's my cougar with the background gone. Now I wanted to find out what other backgrounds I could put in place. So I just went to a free reference photo site and I found various backgrounds that I liked, that I thought may be different options. Okay, so what I could then do was just drag the cougar down here. Okay, there's a different background, a real sunset background. I thought it might be interesting to have a red or warm background, and I can just then select that and drop it onto the cougar. Okay, and I'll just put that there for now. You can see here top right that we've now got the cougar layer and we've got the background layer, but the cougar's at the back. Okay, so if I grab that one, left click it, hold it and drag it above the background, there's the background there instead. Okay, now I can select this move tool and I can move that background and do what I want with it. I can grab the corners and make it larger. Okay, I can bring it up higher. As you can see, I can put it wherever I want. I'll say, okay, so I've dropped that there. Now here's the issue I had with this background. The light direction on the cougar is coming from top left down to bottom right, and it's quite high in the sky. As you can see, the sun was obviously high in the sky to create that shadow. On the background I brought in, we've got sunset, so the sun is actually very low. It's even down to the horizon or past the horizon, so it doesn't really make sense. It's saying, as we look at this, that we've got two different light sources, so it doesn't work. Okay, so if I wanted to use a sunset one, I would have to have had the light source up here somewhere, even if it was, you know, out of the scene, up there shining down, going darker. That would have been made more sense. Okay, so I'll just pop that there for now. The other problem with this was, if that background, the sky is orange, red, got these purpley colors as well, that has to be influencing the cougar. Okay, so all this scene needs to be influenced with those colors as well. Now I could do that if I select the cougar layer, and then I could go and image adjust and the color balance. So if I start now adding some reds in there, all the colors that are in the background really, you see I can start warming it up. So that was the mid-tones. I could do similar with the shadows. So I'm thinking about those warm background colors and the highlights as well. You see, it needs to be influenced by those same colors. If we look at it off and now on, so you can see it makes much more sense now that the background colors are influencing the rock and the cougar, and they're all sitting in the same, under the same sun and sky, so the colors are making sense, but the direction of the light is not. And also I thought, let's try some other backgrounds anyway. So I'll take that background back off, and let's look at, if I move this down I can see what we got. Okay, here's a different sky. So if I do the same thing, grab it, drop that one on there, bring that back up and put that at the bottom. So once again I'll put the sky underneath, and now it's making more sense, but we need to make it bigger because I've got that grass at the bottom. So I'm making it much bigger. Okay, so there's the background there. Okay, so I quite like that one. That looks quite nice. Like I say, it's all personal preference. The sun is over here on the right, so it's not really lighting up correctly. So what I would need to really do is flip that background to make the sun come this way instead. But I thought, I don't know, that doesn't look that dramatic to me. So I decided not to bother with that sky either. Okay, so let's take a look at the one I did eventually use. Okay, so we'll go back to this and I'll delete all the layers so that I can show you. Well, that's where I started off. In fact, let's go back a little bit further. Okay, so that's where I started off, and then I cut out the background. Okay, so that's the background cut out. Now don't worry about the softness. You know, you see all the little hairs coming out. When we cut it out, most of those or some of them will disappear, but don't worry, we can still work from this reference photo for our painting, our drawing. We're just trying to, you know, mock up a scene. Okay, so I cut it out, then I tried a cloud background. Now I like that, the drama, the way the clouds are coming around, as well as making your eye travel down around the scene. I thought I may actually bring the cougar's tail curling up here, and I may still do that. I'm undecided yet. Okay, so I tried that sky. That's the one we just looked at. I like that, as I said. Change the direction of the sun, but that worked out quite nice. And I eventually put this one on. So if I show you what it was actually like, the direction of the light on the mountains is pretty much right. So it's coming, even though it's dramatic sky, we've got a light source coming from almost above. And when I put the cougar in place, I thought it worked very, very well. So I like the fact we had the blue sky here. That meant that the tones and the colors still worked well, because remember I said about the color of the sky influences. So if you look at the back leg here in the shadow area, we've got lots of blue in there. The same on this fore leg in the shadow area, we've got blue in there. So to make that happen, we really needed blue in the sky above. And that's what that top right hand corner gives us. Obviously the sky directly above the reference or the cougar could be completely blue. Okay, we don't know, we don't need to know, but we've got that indication from that blue in the sky that's helping us with the blue that's bouncing light in this shadow. The direction of the light is correct, as I said, on the mountains and the clouds. And I like the feeling of drama, stormy sky coming in. Now, when I click this layer on, you can see I've actually lightened up the shadow area. Okay, I'm playing with the idea so far, because that's what we're doing here, is playing with ideas as to whether I should have the shadow a bit lighter or a bit darker. And I can print this out if I want to and work from it and change all that obviously as I'm painting, as I'm drawing. But it's nice to have those little elements in place anyway on here, and then tinker with them as well. I could adjust the brightness and the contrast on the cougar if I wanted to. Well, that's the background selected, but I could do it on the background. So I could make the background brighter. I could make the background have more contrast, you can see, or less contrast. The other thing I could do with the background is blur it a little bit, or a lot. Image, adjust, and then I can go down to, sorry, it's, yeah, image, adjust, oh sorry, filter, blur. There's so many tools on Photoshop that you've got to try and remember where they are all the time. So filter, blur, Gaussian blur, Okay, so I can have a lot of blur. It's obviously way too much. So if I blur it like that, you can see that makes the cougar pop forward a bit more. Or I can blur it just a little bit. Okay, so up to you. That's a little bit of blur on there. I quite like that, but I also like the fact it's sharp. And it's, even though it's sharp, it's not a colourful background down here in the mountain, so the cougar is still coming forward. I could warm it a bit. Image adjust color balance. I could add some reds in there if I wanted to. It wouldn't be much at all. But you see, I could tint it like that and try all different things out. Okay, so that's basically how I play around with an image. As I said, it's much easier because the background is almost a flat color to delete it from there. But if you look on YouTube at things like using the magic, using the lasso tools and the magnetic lasso tools, it'll show you how to cut around subjects, around the image, so that can be done. As I said, there's lots of YouTube videos showing exactly how to do all of those things. So I hope you've enjoyed that and seen how I've gone from a fantastic image but also then changed the background, but why I kept the idea of lighting in place, a direction of the light. The color that is in the background needs to complement the foreground color as well. For instance, if I put a background in that was, say, green, just to pick a color, that green, as we saw in that red sunset, needs to then influence all of the subject, the rock that is standing on. It all needs to be influenced and have parts of that color in there for it to even start to look realistic. So I hope you've enjoyed it, hope this helped you in some way, and I'll see you all again real soon. Just wanted to quickly mention my Patreon channel for those looking for even more in-depth art instruction. It's packed full of pastel videos, oil videos as well, and those videos are being added to new ones every single month. I have videos for the complete beginner that have never done pastels or oils before with just limited supplies, and I take you from the very first blocking in all the way through to the final detailed drawings and paintings. I've also got some really unusual subjects as well, and in all of my videos I always take you through all the details. You see everything I do, how I create my work. But it's not just for beginners, it's also for novices, and I also show the best artwork that I've ever done as well. And this particular elephant video spans 6 hours, so you know you're going to see tons and tons of details, tips and techniques. And as mentioned, I've got lots of oil videos on there too, so there really is something for everybody, and you get access to hundreds of hours worth of videos for just $4. Now over 1,000 members strong. Hope to see you there soon.